Hi, fifth grade. It's Miss Keeley here. So, first of all, I want to start out by letting you guys know that I thought you did a really nice job on your Dean Russo animal inspired art projects. I was really happy to see how they came out, and I thought you guys all did a really nice job. So, this week we are going to be starting a new project, and it's going to have a new focus. So, that Dean Russo project was focused on pattern, and this one is going to be focusing on symmetry. So, if some of you know what symmetry is, it is if you were to look at an object, shape, or just anything, and if you were able to draw a line of symmetry through the middle of it, it would look the same on both sides. Okay, so that's something that you guys should have learned like all throughout your school years growing up so far. But we're gonna put a little twist on it. So there is something called radial symmetry, and it's when something is symmetrical pretty much all the way around in like a 360. Okay, so pretty much like a circle. You could slice it a bunch of different times and it would be symmetrical all the way around. Okay, so we're going to be creating a mandala or mandala, however you want to pronounce it, and it will be a radial symmetrical project. So all that you need today for today's steps are a white piece of paper and a pencil, and then you will need to find something that is a circle so that you can trace it. You want it to be big enough to fill up most of your paper, but not too small that or too big that it's going to go off your paper, and you don't want it too small that it's just kind of like really tiny in the middle of your paper. You want it to fill up. So I'll show you mine in a second. So here I have my name, my class code. Let me move this out of the way. Flipping my paper over, and then this bowl in front of me is what I am choosing for my circle to trace, and it just barely fits the edges. So I didn't have anything that was that matching kind of perfectly, so that's why I went with it, even though it's just a little bit off the edges, it's fine. But you just want something to trace, okay? So I flipped it over. I'm lightly tracing it with my pencil all the way around, careful not to move it. And then I just kind of go back and try to fill in the edges a little bit more, just so that it looks a little bit more complete. Um, but that's just obviously how mine kind of turned out. So then the next thing that you want to do is, if you have a ruler, awesome. If not, you can freehand it or grab something that has kind of like a straight edge to it, like a pencil has a straight edge to it. Um, but basically, what we want to do is we want to divide our circle into 8 different pieces. So think about a pizza. So I'm just drawing kind of like straight lines, kind of going through the middle at first, making sure that I am having everything kind of meet in a center point area. Going now diagonally through. And again, these don't need to be exactly perfect, but we do want to have kind of like nice, neat looking sections and lines, because it's going to help you out in the next couple steps of the project. Okay. And so once you have it, it should look something like this. We should have 8, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So then when you're making your mandala, basically what you're doing is you are starting from that center point in the middle of your paper. You can choose to do what I'm doing, and I was looking for other circle sizes that I could trace, because you can create kind of these different layers of circles all throughout. So I started by just finding another circle and doing another layer, just to help me kind of keep that circular shape. And so basically what you're doing is you start by drawing either lines, shapes, designs, patterns, and whatever you draw in one section, you repeat all the way around into all the other sections. So I started with kind of this like bumpy line that all together kind of looked like a flower, but now I'm going and doing a um, pointed, almost like a V shape kind of up and outward. And you can see because I did it in one section, I need to do it in all the sections. And I'm trying my best to keep it about the same size, about the same shape. It does get a little bit tricky, but this is supposed to be a slow process. You're supposed to take your time and just think about adding shapes and lines. You don't need to get too crazy with the designs that you're making. Okay. And you can see I'm kind of going one small step at a time. So now I'm just doing kind of like a curved line and I just repeat it again and again in each section. Okay. I'm going to start to fast forward this so you can kind of see how mine develops. But again, it's just repeating lines, shapes, patterns again and again. Don't be afraid to really try to push some of the details that you draw within it. Um, you can put more than one thing in a little area. Okay. Again, if you like, so here I did like another circle, and instead of just leaving it blank with an inner circle, I'm doing these kind of like little line designs out. Okay. Just because the more kind of that you add, the more interesting that your mandala will look. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you are not really sure of what you want to draw or how you really want to design it, feel free to go on Google and search mandalas. There are so many different examples, all different kind of complexities, so like really, really intricate and advanced ones to kind of really smaller and simple ones. But the main thing that we want to focus on is that we are repeating our design again and again so that it's symmetrical all the way around. Okay. There's also a lot of YouTube videos made out there that people have made where they can show you kind of different tips and tricks, maybe different from mine. So feel free to kind of explore that on your own. But I'm just going to kind of keep fast forwarding this because I'm just kind of drawing the same thing again and again, filling it up. When you start to get close to the outer edge of yours, um, you can have the option. You can keep it all within the circle that you drew. I chose to kind of go out of the circle, but if you notice, part of mine gets cut off, and that is going to make it a little bit not as symmetrical because it is cut off. Um, Although I always say that I don't mind if you guys kind of work off the paper because I always think it gives a little bit of interesting art element to your work. Um, so you can have that option whether you draw outside or keep it contained within the circle. Okay. And then so I'm just kind of looking at mine, seeing if there's anything else I want to add for details. In the next week video, I do end up going back and add a little bit more details when I shade things in. But you want it to look layered. You want it to look um, really kind of intricate, even though if you think about the process, it kind of slowly builds throughout it. So it looks intricate and complex at the very end, but as you're drawing it, you only focus on one small section at a time. Okay. And so I'm just gonna fast forward to the all the way end, and this is what I finished up with. It's only a pencil drawing, so that's all you should have for this week. I mentioned in some of the other videos and assignments that I'm only asking for a picture of the very end finished project. So this project should take us about 3 weeks, so one assignment per week. So I don't need to see a picture until that third week at the very end. Of course, if you do want to send me a picture, I'd love to see them, and I love to kind of share them out with the Northwood School and the Twitter and the Laker. So of course you can send me your artwork, but it's not going to be mandatory until the very end because I know it's a little bit tricky to get the work submitted to me. So I don't need it until the very end. All right. Good luck. I can't wait to see how they come out, and I will chat with you guys next week. All right. Bye.